Is WWE trying to take over from within, or is NXT trying to make it their own brand? As we have Robert Stone and the former Alicia Fox trying to upset the family environment of Santina Marella and the liaison of NXT. The Knockouts World titles on the line, and we will soon enough find out if you believe or whoop that trick with a main event tag preview of sorts. This and so much more underway tonight, courtesy of TNA, as they may be under siege. Welcome to the discussion, and this is simply predicting anything but. Hello, everybody, and welcome back here once again to Simply Predicting, the second in the trifecta of this week's events. You know what this is. Of course, I am the Simple Man of the Simple Brand. Of course, forever grateful for all things professional wrestling. Damn it. And my name is Noah Foster. With me, as always, a wonderful panel. You have a wise three predicting here this evening, as I have the Renegade Wrestling JJ Williams and the man who predicts in all things wrestling. Shout out to the fellow Four Horsemen and Jeff Chadwick and Mike Griffith. Christopher Rodson. It's good for all y'all that are tuning in. Please subscribe, comment, tell a friend. And again, if you want to dictate the conversation, PayPal, the passions, or super chats, as simple as that. And get your predictions in if they aren't in already. You'll find the form of my social medias all over the place already. And I think with that being said, we'll give everyone's initial thoughts and get right into this, because shortly after this, we'll be going live across the Bubba Studios with our coverage tonight of TNA Under Siege. That is literally just 2.5 hours away from start time, at least with the countdown. So let's go ahead and give everyone's initial thoughts before we get right into this little soiree. JJ, good to see you once again, my brother. I love the shirt. Again, I don't trim it myself, but someone chose to, so there it is. Buy if you want. All proceeds should go to NoDQ or to this gentleman. JJ, how you feel about Under Siege tonight? TNA, it's been something different to say the least since we've had NXT cross the line, particularly two individuals as of late. Okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, that was weird. I was just like, I thought there was a delay or something.
Sorry, I had a dip in my connection for a minute, so I was being quiet, so I didn't.
I'm
You know,
about to say, yeah, the freaking broken language. So,
I'm
anyway.
here.
All right, we're here. We're happy. It's going to be great, and we're going to have a fun time. Anyway, JJ, how you feel about our siege tonight?
I'm looking forward to it, man. There's some really interesting matches on the card, some matches that could really go either way. Always good to see my NXT, damn it, represented. And there's one match in particular, we'll get to it when we get there, but it really has me scratching my head about, is this all going to be a warm and fuzzy finish, or has there been some devious plotting and planning going all along?
Considering who we're dealing with, that really makes my skin crawl. I think you and I are on the same wavelength as usual, but we'll get to that point when we get there. That being said, Christopher Rods, good to see you once again. Of course, the guy that predicts in all the leagues. And speaking of the league, to those out there in the TNA League, here's to the top 30 of you right now. It's Christopher Rods. You and I, DJW, and King Kieta are leading. JJ, you got to pick up some speed, bruv. But hey, represent Team DQ. You are also being a couple of the horsemen, too. But
I'm still doing better in this one than I'm doing in my NXT, but that's a whole other ballpark.
You don't have to bring that up if I don't bring up the leaderboard. Just outsing yourself.
I think the TNA and the NXT ones should be combined because it's NXTNA now, damn it.
Look, that's up for debate, all right? And
maybe next year. Next year, if we're still going strong like this and both brands, then next year it'll just be an NXTNA. Maybe that'll get more people to participate in the TNA ones because their points count towards NXT and vice versa.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong, because when I look at the TNA leagues and the NXT leagues, and since you said it, fudge it, it is about the same pool. And right now, Arlene, yep, she's still leading currently this year.
Damn her.
But that being said, Christopher Rods is also, of course, part of all those leagues. And Chris, you got some work to do, bro. But that being said, good to see you tonight. How you feel about TNA Under Siege?
I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch TNA Under Siege. I only watch TNA's big 4 pay-per-views now, like Genesis, Slammiversary, Bound for Glory, Rebellion. I'll be watching SmackDown tonight, and please, everybody, don't be spoiling SmackDown tonight for these fine gentlemen. But hey, it's going to be a good night tonight, and I can't wait to dive on in with predictions. And always say yeah to NoDQ.com.
Yeah. Hey, Boss Man Aaron Griff approved. All right, and shout out to the 21 of you so far that put in your predictions, including but not limited to members of Team No DQ, like Walter. The man literally slept with me. Chris, I see yours in here. Shout out to Rob Greed, Alistair Keither, Bacon underscore space, best name ever. David Diaz, Cass, Kimberly, Dash Mars, Colin Andrew, of course, No DQ moderators, Rocco, amongst others. Not Rocco's My Life, folks. Also a great show, though. But again, folks, your predictions still matter. You still have time to get them in. You'll find it all over my X. And shortly after this concludes, because I'm sure there'll be a little bit of time left over too. But without further ado, to the predicting community, professional wrestling fans and friends, Christopher Roch, JJ, and for those that are watching on demand or live too, let's get right into it. So, yep, tonight is another TNA's Plus special. Not one of the big four, as Chris alluded to, but it's one of the ones in between. Similar to, well, let's be honest here. This is the only company with a big four that actually sticks to the actual name marquee, for Pete's sake, at least for right now. TNA Under Siege, coming to us tonight, Friday, May 23rd, from Brampton, Ontario, California. From
Canada.
Canada. Brampton, Ontario, Canada, excuse me. Botch. The Canada, California, both start with a CA. Y'all need to figure out geography here or try and find some way to be distinctively different. Damn it. Anyway,
Canada is usually CAN, but for whatever reason, they didn't put it after Ontario.
yeah, who thought of that great idea? The Prime Minister or the President? You tell me. Good grief almighty. Anyway, yes, Brampton, Ontario, Canada, eh? Shout out to our
Yes.
Canadian friend Ash. Don't be a dickhead.
Our
Subscribe to
Canadian
Wrestling
friend.
Ash. That's like a sitcom jingle. Anyway, from the
Right?
CAA
Anytime she
Center.
enters the room, it's our Canadian friend.
Ash. Anyway, yes, Under Siege from Brampton, Ontario, Canada, eh? From the CAA Center. Starts tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a countdown for all TNA Plus subscribers. And then, of course, kicks in 8 p.m. Standard Time. You also can watch the actual show if you purchase it through Triller. Let's go ahead and kick things off with the only match on the countdown, where we wonder, will an angel fall under the whims of a demon assassin? As it's Rosemary versus Zaya Brookside, and this has really reached a boiling point, as Rosemary's been trying to prove that Zaya, embrace your dark side. You can be strong with that. Why Zaya is trying to prove to Rosemary, you don't need to cheat to win. You're better than that. Of course, Rosemary, former TNA Knockouts World Champion. Zaya Brookside, of course, the Angel of the Ring, signed to TNA last year on the dotted line at Hard to Kill, has been soaring ever since on her own way. But we've seen recently how her rage has gotten the better of her, including getting disqualified against Rosemary after hitting her in the throat, blocking the green mist that blinded her previously. This is their third singles encounter, and after Lei Ling Lee was assaulted by Rosemary, Zaya Brookside is fighting for anybody to prove a point. You don't need to sell your soul to get ahead in this business. You know, some people could learn from that moral. I'm just saying. Anyway, it's Rosemary versus Brookside one-on-one on the countdown. So let's go ahead and get people's thoughts here. And as always, with the undercard, we'll have a person set the ballot for who they think is going to win. And we will only continue discussion on that match if there is a disagreement. So let's go right around the horn. And since it's a triple threat, we're just literally going to go clockwise. This means sometimes I'm going to be on the hot seat. Damn it. JJ, we're going to start with you here. What you got to say regarding Rosemary and Zaya Brookside? Do you think Zaya finally shuts the voices in her head that Rosemary's been trying to plant in her once and for all? Or does Rosemary maybe prove to Zaya a point that if you embrace your dark side, you could be even more stronger than you already are? What you got winning this?
I'm going to say yes to both points. I've got Zaya Brookside getting the W.
Okay.
But I think she's going to turn heel on Lei Yin Lee afterwards.
As if she shows up tonight, but I can see what you mean.
I definitely think she's going to be there. I think that, we saw just last night on Impact, which I did watch prior to coming on the air here.
Same.
We saw her and Lei Yin Lee and how beat up Lei Yin Lee was. And I still have a hard time saying that it's so fucking much to try to get out. The former Zaya Lee.
Yes.
Zaya Squared, as I like to call them.
Damn it.
Tell me that's not a great name. I'm just saying. Zaya.
That's a WWE t-shirt waiting to happen.
It is. And then you can even stylize it like the old X-Men 2 Marvel movie, just do the X2.
Continue.
But anyways, I see, Lei Yin Lee getting into the ring post match, celebrating with Zaya, and Zaya dropping her.
All right. So in a way,
So Zaya will get her W and silence Rosemary, and everyone's gonna think, oh well, she silenced the voices in her head.
and then she embraces the dark
Uh-huh.
side. Something
Then she embraces the dark side.
well, I mean,
Because
hey.
Zaya's one of those gimmicks where I didn't know if I could buy her as a heel. But then when we were doing the 573 watch alongs during WrestleMania week, one of those shows had Zaya in an 8-person tag match, and she was a heel in the match. I forget which show it was because we did so fucking many. But one of them had her in the match, and she was working heel, and there was something about it that I was just like, okay, I can see this working now. I can see her as a heel. And I think it's going to happen here.
Oh, fair enough. All right. So with that being said, as far as the match goes, we have a pick for Zaya Brookside, and I wholeheartedly agree, especially because right now it's been one disqualification, one mist-filled win for Rosemary, and Zaya Brookside has not gotten a win on Rosemary yet through disqualification or through clean means. And it's one of those things where you look at Rosemary and again working outside the shadow for the Hive. You don't necessarily know what she's looking for besides utter chaos, it feels like, in the TNA Knockouts division. Again, I think this is much more than the championship. It almost makes me think that she sees part of an old friend in Zaya. And for those that follow TNA long as I have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Demon X
Wendy
Money
Chu.
Life. Well, there's the jury's out on that. I mean, she's stuck in Evolve Land. But anyway, yeah, I think Zaya Brookside, as far as Bell to Bell goes, going to win. But I can see them slow burning Zaya, turning dark, and building this to a Lei Ling Zaya feud. But I don't think Zaya goes heel yet. But I almost think Zaya's going to use the mist against Rosemary in some way to further your point about Rosemary saying, if you had what the powers that I have that I want to give you, you would be something better, bigger, stronger, more dangerous. The mist is the most dangerous weapon Rosemary got.
Lei Yin versus Zaya at Slammiversary.
Exactly. Or against all odds if they tease it any further. I can see that actually being a tag match, but what do you put with Lei Ling Lee? Well, based on another match, I think I might know, unfortunately. And that being said, Chris is already in the darkness, so I'm not sure.
He got sent to the Dark Realm.
Yeah,
Hopefully he
literally.
doesn't end up on Evolve also.
You activated the trap card as he's stuck in the darkness. That's great. All right. Well, as he figures that out, we'll get his thought towards the match again here in a moment. And Charles, good to see you. Always appreciate you tuning in. Let's go ahead and move on.
Buy the Noah Foster T-shirt.
You know, the jury's still out on that. We'll try that one more time. Chris, speak now, forever hold your peace. Do you also have Zaya Brookside in this? Or are you lagging? There we go. All right. Go ahead and say Zaya, and we'll move on. Dazzle, damn it, JJ. I'm not sure he could hear us, or he's trying to.
I can hear you.
Okay. About to say, that might be some horrible latency. Anyway, say something about Zaya.
Rosemary winning this match.
Of course he does. All right. Fair enough. That's a great.
To be fair, I'm sure Walter does too. He's got her shirt, so.
The jury's out on that. All right. Fair point. Okay, moving on. Let's go into the actual show. And yeah, again, they only have one match officially for the countdown this time, but we all know what happened last time we had a countdown. So don't count TNA out as surprising you out of nowhere. You might get another NXT crossover, to your point, especially since we have Battleground this Sunday night. Stay tuned, folks, for coverage of that, of course, also in some of studios.
And especially since we have a mystery partner coming up in this show, so.
Oh, gee, how ironic you talk about that, because I'll go ahead and spearhead this conversation. Smoke them if you got them, or do you trust in the Order 4? It's 8-person tag team action. I say that because this involves women. We have Tasha Steeles, the Great Hands, and the very unhinged Mustafa Ali, taking on the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz, Indy Hartwell, and a partner of their choosing. So there's a couple of things to take away from this when you look at the collaboration of the 4 on the right-hand side versus the united fronts on the left. Ever since Mustafa Ali lost his way on his own path of purpose toward the TNA World Championship since Mike Santana beat him, he's been very unhinged and has taken it out against the Rascals and more particularly Ace Austin. Ace Austin, of course, who's no longer part of TNA Wrestling. Wish all the best, the inevitable one. But that's a whole different conversation for Saturday Shenanigans in another day. Stay tuned for more on that. Anyway, we also saw the Great Hands get the better of the Rascals and Ace Austin over the last few weeks. And Indy Hartwell, of course, got her first win over Kelsey Heather in her TNA Impact Wrestling ring debut. But Tasha Steelz kind of like badmouthed her and confronted her backstage. So it's a match pretty much of pride, one-upsmanship, and also not being tossed to the wayside. And again, what's going from Mustafa Ali's mind? Your guess is as good as mine. As far as to be a partner, that's the interesting thing here, because you got to consider that you got a tag team, you got a woman, you got a lead man. Who could be the lead for this? I mean, Myra Reed previously, he was a Rascal, but he's doing stuff in Wrestling Revolver with Killer Kelly, Killer Goat. But it could be another person returning, could be another surprise, could be somebody crossing the line, just saying. So let's go ahead and see what side you think wins. And I guess I'm on the hot seat for this one. It's one of those things right now when it comes to a united front. If they're going to be strong with this new name called the Order 4, which literally just came to be, you would think they kind of would need the win. But with how much Mustafa Ali's been unhinged and being distracted and Tasha Steelz trying to keep him in line, I think that can come back to bite them. It's also one of those things that we've seen the Rascals very effective as a tag team. And Indy Hartwell, she just signed a TNA, so you don't want her to eat the decision. I feel like with the fact that we don't know the full sum of this team, I kind of got to give it to them because I think that's going to play in their way and also tell something further against this Order 4 feud, which I think is going to go longer. So I'm going with Indy and the Rascals and their partner to take the victory. So that being said, it's a simple card. Fudge it. There's only 3 people here. Let's go around the horn and give everyone else's thoughts. Chris, we'll go to you next. Who you got in this match? Do you have the Order 4 or do you have the opposition?
Person, when you said about the Order 4, I was thinking about metaphor.
Don't say it, you fucker.
But I'm gonna agree. I'm agreeing with you, Noah. I'm gonna say Indy Hartwell, the Rascals, and their mystery partner win this match. And this is a thing. We don't even know who's going to be the mystery partner coming out of tonight. It could be somebody from TNA. It could be somebody from NXT. It could be a return. It could be a debut. It could be anybody. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you, buddy.
All right. And apologies for not acknowledging, of course, the simply predicting poll voters who, of course, put their ballots in. 2/3 are going with Rosemary, while I guess the ones that said Zaya, including me, are in the minority. So we'll see. And as far as this 8-person tag, JJ, smoke them if you got them with me and Chris, because we're in the majority. 90% with the Rascals and the Hartwell and mystery partner. Only 10% with Order 4. So where do you stand? And who do you think the mystery could be? Since, again, do you think someone else crosses the line?
See, and that's what I've been thinking about the most in this match is who could the mystery partner be?
And particularly, do they have a connection somehow with Mustafa Ali, who, again, you look at this graphic, he has no opposition.
See, and that's what I'm thinking about, because at first I'm seeing this and I'm like, you know who would fit in great with the Rascals? Javon Evans.
Right.
But then I'm like, but why? And then I'm thinking, okay, who is there that could make a connection? And I know he had a gimmick change, but he's been off TV for a while. Is it possibly we see a one-night return to previous gimmick of Dexter Lumis? And you reunite Index?
Oh, my Lord.
And I'm like, no, that's too far-fetched, because now you're killing the entire Wyatt Six shtick just for a one-off. It's not going to work.
It'd be cool to see Index together, but yeah, I don't see.
Then I started to think about the people that have been released recently. Not the latest cuts, because the 30 days for NXT aren't up for that yet, but the previous round. And there's a name that was released a while back who does have connection to Mustafa Ali. That being one Donovan Dijak.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Retribution.
Retribution, yeah.
Could
Super.
Dijak be out for Retribution from being stuck in a gimmick that damn near killed him and his career?
I mean, he's not MLW champion yet, so he probably has some free time.
And then there's another superstar who was released in the last round of cuts, who, much like Indy Hartwell, hails from Australia. And that's the former MVP of Chase University, Duke Hansen.
Be an interesting change up. Technically,
And
yes.
while Duke and Indy, I don't think had a whole lot of encounters on TV. They were both in NXT for a while, and they're both from Australia.
An Australian connection.
So there could just be a little something there. Until I started watching Indy's blogs, I didn't know she had a good relationship with Steph DeLander.
Oh yeah.
And then I started watching her YouTube channel, and I started seeing the friendship she has with SDL, and by proxy, Mance, who's SDL's man. So when Indy was ushered into TNA, it made a lot of sense because Steph is there. Steph probably opened the door. Could Indy have opened the door for Duke?
And sometimes all you need is a reference, so the jury is out. But either way,
that's where I'm coming from. And then another person from Retribution who I believe has appeared in TNA recently, Shane Haste.
Yeah, he crazy. He literally appeared when he faced Elias and he wanted to walk with him. TMDK, and I don't know what that guy's up to right now.
So there's another, possibility, because we have seen him do a one-off lately. Could he possibly do another one-off here?
Be an interesting clash of styles. I think he would fit with the Rascals. I was thinking Cedric Alexander, but again, like you said, the days, because
Cedric's time is up. So Cedric's time is up. But I think Cedric is going to be showing up at Double or Nothing.
Interesting thought.
Hurt Business, Hurt Syndicate.
He hurt people. That's fair. That's fair. I love that.
So that's my line of thinking. And, started off with some pretty out there bullshit, but then as I started going a little bit, started to make a little bit more sense. But regardless, I've got the Rascals and Indy picking up the dub, if for no other reason than they're not going to feed Indy a loss this early.
Hell no, it's their second match.
Yeah. I mean, granted, she can not eat the pinfall, but still, I don't think they're going to feed her a loss that quickly.
No, you kidding me? I would be flabbergasted if they did. This TNA is already questionable enough as it is, considering who we're dealing with in other matches. But that's a whole different conversation. All right, so bottom line, we're unanimous on this, and we're with the majority. It's the Rascals and the Hartwell, and we'll see what happens as TNA loves to surprise us more than ever, where anyone can cross the line from anywhere. So stay tuned. Whatever happened to Jake Something, by the way? I don't think he's been released, but ever since Johnny Doe Hendry, he has not been involved in TNA.
No, his contract expired.
Oh, well, damn it. All right, moving on. Darn it, I wanted something for him. Anyway, Jake Something forever. Let's move on.
Something!
Damn it!
I think his contract expired around the same time as Hammerstone's, if I remember correctly.
BS. They could have been TNA Tag Team Champions. All right, well, moving on. JJ, well, this is a match. AJ Francis goes one-on-one with Mike Santana. Mike Santana defending the honor of LA for O'Shea Jackson, and that's literally how this match came to be. As Mike Santana is looking to become the TNA World Champion, has already called out Joe Hendry. We got this. JJ, you're on ball for this. AJ Francis.
Wait a minute. Chris didn't start yet, did he?
Wait, what?
Did Chris start yet?
Oh, wait. That's right. I'm sorry. My brain's tired because this is a match. Yes, folks, this is a match. Chris, AJ Francis, Mike Santana, who you got?
It's okay, Noah. Who I got in this match is Mike Santana
Good
because
man.
if they are trying to build Mike Santana up for the TNA World Championship in his hometown at Slammiversary, it has to start here and is going to end at TNA Slammiversary with him finally capturing the TNA World Champion. And who's going to be the World Champion at by the time we get to TNA Slammiversary is yet to be seen. And I'll touch base on that when we get to our tag team main event.
Very good man. Because let's be honest here, gentlemen in chat. Tonight is the cause. Sunday is the friggin' effect. And we're leaving it at that until we're at the main event. Good boy. All right.
Oh,
so,
yeah, man.
God bless that idiot. Anyway, so I don't think I need to say anything further. I don't think no one needs to say anything further. I don't think anybody who's sober needs to say anything further. Mike Santana wins or TNA, you are becoming once again a bigger joke than I ever thought imaginable since the Immortal era. Okay, but I will be kind to JJ to let him have a thought or two. By the way, JJ, I don't know if someone was just being a troll, but it's 95% for Mike Santana. Please tell me you're not the one person that said AJ Francis.
No, I don't think I did.
Okay.
When I first predicted this stuff on Tuesday with DJ in the spaces, I did speak on behalf of AJ just a little bit because AJ has been taking a bunch of L's lately. He seems to be taking L's on television, but then getting them when they count on pay-per-view. And if you're going to keep him as, we won't call him a great heel because I know how you feel about Mr. Francis, but if you're going to keep him as a viable heel, you need to give him big victories. And a dub over Santana here would help solidify that. To keep him as a prominent heel figure that the babies have to defeat to move to the next run in the ladder. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind. And do you want to weaken AJ Francis by having him eat the L here? Because I think Santana could eat the L and it wouldn't hurt him. But I think if AJ eats the L, you damage his credibility as a heel. You know what I mean? Like, I still am going for Santana, but I just want to throw that out there to anybody that may still need to get predictions in. You know, Santana can eat the L and it won't damage him because there's still, against all odds, and plenty of impacts for him to win contendership and get some more W's under his belt.
Damn it.
But AJ needs some big W's to stay as a viable heel threat to any champion.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And also this past Thursday on Impact, as again we saw in tag team action, he and the other dude, they did win.
The other dude, Casey Navarro. Come on, put some. If you're not going to respect Flop Dollar, at least put some respect on the blessed one.
I don't know if you're blessed if you're first class in this case, but that's a whole different conversation. Anyway, all right, fine. That team did get a win over Mike Santana and Sami Callihan. Mike Santana not involved in the decision. So, again, credibility singles versus tags, he's still the biggest obstacle for anybody to face in TNA or be annoyed by. Whether or not we're annoyed by it here or we see how Mike Santana overcomes it here, like he's been overcoming everything his whole life, not just to defend O'Shea's honor and the city of LA, because that's really what this stemmed from if you watch TNA like I have. Ugh. Either way, yeah, it's gotta be Mike Santana at this point. And yeah, I can see that actually being one of the aftermaths if the story follows the Metro the way that people think it's going to already. But again, that's all the way into July. We're still in May. But either way, Mike Santana for the win. Okay.
And all I'm saying is to Chris's point, if Mike Santana wins the TNA World Championship before Frankie Kazarian, you do not want me on a microphone. You do not want me on a microphone. I'm just saying.
Oh boy, I can only imagine how the East Coast boy beats out the West Coast boy for the freaking TNA World Championship. What a conversation. The OG versus the new breed. Okay. Moving on from there. Speaking of, changing conversations, also new breed or, rarefied breed. You tell me. Pee Wee Herman reject also. This one annoys me for multiple reasons. JJ on tap, at least it's women's wrestling, but I'm starting to really lose faith in the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championships and Tag Team Division, especially with this. Do not let your eyes deceive you, folks. It is Ashton headed by Elegance with Pee Wee Herman Reject in their corner, taking on Spitfire for the fourth time, and it is once again for Spitfire. Do or die. If Spitfire loses, their tag team is over. As we saw at freaking Sacrifice, the crime against women's wrestling, as the freaking concierge allowed Elegances to freaking seize the titles from Spitfire that night. And we saw in Fatal 4-Way action at Rebellion. NXT failed to freaking take the titles that night. Damn it. And we saw Maggie Lee, who very well might become Elegant here, according to what I've heard that she might be going a makeover. Jesus Christ almighty, more fake-ass Barbies. So don't count out Maggie Lee not getting involved on the behalf of the Elegances again, considering Spitfire has nobody in their corner. But again, the last time Spitfire went do or die, it was against the system, and they won. Will history repeat once again, or is Spitfire once and for all done? Okay, JJ, go ahead. Sell me on this match. What's the future of the TNA Knockouts World Championships? And does it involve NXT? And does it involve Spitfire finally no longer to be? Damn it!
All right, so I picked the Elegance brand to retain here.
I did too.
But here's my dilemma. The Knockouts tag division has less tag teams than the main roster WWE Women's Tag Division.
That's a damn crime and a fact.
Can the Knockouts tag division afford for a team to break up? But I see more long-term promise in Danny Luna than I do Jody Threat.
I won't argue that.
So in order for Danny to take the next step towards being Knockouts champion, they need to dissolve. I'm not going to say Jody is holding Danny back, because far from it. They work so well together. But it's the Rockers syndrome. In order to move to the next level, you've got to dissolve. Brett didn't become world champion while he was teaming with Jim Neidhart. Sean didn't become world champion while he was teaming with Marty Jannetty.
Who went through a barbershop window.
I mean, just completely jumped through it. The fucking chicken shit.
Jesus.
It's... You got to go with the Elegance brand, but I do question that if Spitfire loses, what is TNA thinking? Because they may as well just dissolve those titles, or just merge them with WWE's at this point.
Yeah, what's the women's champions doing right now? Oh, that's right. Nothing! Anyway. Oh, brother, don't get me started. That's a rant for a different day. $10 PayPal, and I'll rant on that, but not right now. All right, so he went with the...
You guys heard that. $10 super chat.
God bless freaking him. Anyway, he's going with the champs to retain. Critton, I will say, like I said, I agree, and right now, 66% are also going with the champions retaining and Spitfire dissolving. Spitfire only with 33% of the vote. The only way that I can see this being something of actual value towards the future is if NXT finally sees these titles with fatal influence, even if they break found Henley away from that because we saw found Henley get knocked the fuck out by Lola Vice. And we freaking used the other two, Jasmine Nix and Jesse Jane, to seize the titles. Lest we forget, they have a win here in TNA, in trios action at least, against TNA Knockouts. And also another thing I was thinking about, okay, we're trying to bring talent back. We got the Australian connection. Bring the inspiration when they actually made the tag titles matter. Or is Rosemary trying to find a new tag partner since Jessica had went into, Decay or whatever? Is she trying to turn Zion to a new tag partner? Could Zion Lee become challengers for the tag team division? You need to build a division, not break it down when you barely got anything in it already. Hell, this tag team division has not been the same since Killer Kelly and Macho Slammers lost these championships. They were going downward since then. Anyway, yeah, the Elegance is fucking retained. And what is the problem if Pee Wee Herman Reject and Maggie Elegance get involved here on Heather and Ash's behalf? God bless it. Freaking plastic Botox injected freaking bygone era diva bullshit nonsense. Freaking get cheap ass endorsement. Son of a... Chris, what's your thoughts on this match? Do you agree with the majority and me and JJ with the Elegances retaining before we move on?
Well, you had a rant over there and you called one of the Elegances a fake Barbie. Well, guess what? We have a real Barbie and her name is Tiffy Time. She's the
that's
real
one
Barbie.
I can actually buy into, and I don't need Mattel to tell me otherwise. But continue.
Yeah, I feel like this match here is, and the fourth encounter, this is like the never-ending story of the tag team knockouts division. But yeah, who I have in this match is I picked the Elegance brand to retain the tag team champions.
All right, simple enough. Moving on.
I just want the personal concierge to do this.
You son of a bitch! Oh, hell no! Oh, that'd be a crime against Pee Wee Herman. Justin Roberts did Pee Wee Herman justice when I went to Fright Night. He was dressed in that very suit and did that. Don't you dare even put... Moving on. Okay, well... That was a chosen gift that definitely raised my blood pressure. Damn it, JJ, you freaking idiot.
Well, we keep calling him a Pee Wee Herman reject, so it's like, let's just play into it. Let me see him do that for a celebration.
Oh my gosh, he does that. I will freaking reject Pee Wee Herman fandom for the rest of my life. No disrespect to Paul Rubin. Okay, moving on from there. The people have already spoken in the chat about my blood pressure going up 10 points. You would be right, but I really wonder, it wasn't a people's choice. It was Santino's choice and his choice, and will he live to regret it? Could be his last match. This is a match, but folks, it actually has a little bit more value, even if you don't care about one person because you don't know them that well. But you might know Eddie Edwards a little bit more because he's been involved in TNA a lot longer. Then again, I really wonder what's going on with the system, considering none of the other system is booked on this show. I just realized that. Anyway, it's Eddie Edwards versus Cody Deaner. Eddie Edwards, a former TNA World Champion, TNA Tag Team Champion. Cody Deaner literally is fighting right now without a contract. But Santino Marella, while we have a battle for power here that is already raising my blood so much, when we get to those matches, you might get a rant. Nope, not going to rant. Going to be a good guy. Not going to rant. Anyway, Cody Deaner, he either wins or he is out of TNA forever. This is his last chance to possibly get his TNA contract renewed. And all he has to do is be a former TNA World Champion. Good luck, buddy. Okay, straight up, seriously, without Jake Something, Cody Deaner is literally a guy right now on a boat without a freaking oar to paddle with. He's in serious trouble, dire needs. There's nobody to back him up here, because he knows the Team Morella, he's got family matters to deal with where people are already disrespecting or trying to take his authority. That's a whole different rant. But it's weird to think that I don't know if this is the end of him, or we keep talking about and teasing. Is it the end of the freaking system? Eddie Edwards, the one apparently who started the system and encouraged the system to remind them exactly you should trust them. But there's no Moose. There's no JDC. There's no Brian Myers. There is nobody else on the system side booked for this card tonight. Truth be told, probably get Alicia Edwards because Ride or Die, also Boston Trash, stay together. And it's one of those things right now where it almost feels like this show to me feels too obvious that you got to have something unexpected happen besides somebody across the line. And I think Cody Deaner pitted Eddie Edwards out of nowhere and also probably giving Moose something to crow about because Does Moose truly still trust in Eddie Edwards' vision of the system, or has he outgrown the system? I'm just saying. We already saw the man cross the line and challenge the ruler of NXT. Jury's out. But this is one of those matches that you could call wild card. And considering how close the scores are in the TNA league, you might want to consider that. But I think right now, I'm actually going to look at the poll first before I give my thoughts, because I think the people who used to follow the people's choice should get the first say in thought towards what they think. What the hell? Okay. Did not expect that. Would you believe me if I said there's a 4% difference in the votes? 52% are going with Cody Deaner. 48% are going with Eddie Edwards. I cannot believe that. Well, that being said, stranger things have happened. This is TNA. It's not Dynamite Kid, but why the fuck not? Fuck it. If I lose a point, maybe Chris will take the lead. I'm going to go with Cody Deaner, because why the fuck not? Hell, you already made me not care about women's tag team wrestling. Give me something that really makes me go crazy in a weird, bizarre way. Make this something memorable to me. I'm going to go with Cody Deaner, same as Hyde in TNA, especially because he seems like a good guy according to the work he does in school systems. I'm going with Cody Deaner. Okay, Chris, your turn. Do you got the Edwards winning, or you got Cody Deaner winning? This is a weird match.
Personally, I'm going with Cody Deaner as myself. I think he is going to get his contract renewed. And yeah, I'm shocked that none of the rest of the system are in a match tonight. That is, I thought Moose was going to defend the X Division Championship. And personally, when I saw my very first ever X Division Ultimate X match at Rebellion, I said, oh my gosh, this was a great match. And
first time you saw one of those. Can you believe that?
First time ever. And personally, I'll be watching many more Ultimate X down the road. So yeah, I'm shocked about Moose not defending tonight, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah, Cody Deaner for the win, and he gets his TNA contract renewed.
I'm really surprised right now how we are actually agreeing on this. JJ, do you agree as well?
This is another one that I debated long and hard with DJ about on Tuesday.
Go check out the spaces, folks. Shout
because the obvious answer is Cody Deaner is going to get the W here, and we're going to start the destruction of the system.
Finally?
But sometimes the obvious is too obvious. They extended Cody's contract
Quote,
for 1 month so that he could do this match.
Correct.
Is it possible they just extended it so that he could wrestle in front of his family and his friends and his children, for his swan song? He could go out in front of his family and his loved ones instead of in the middle of some podunk town somewhere.
Podunk town.
Just what have TNA done with Cody Deaner since Violent by Design was dissolved?
They made him the people's choice.
And that's my point. They have done nothing with him. They re-sign him. What are they going to do with him? Is he going to become the international champion and defeat Steve Macklin?
I mean, Eric Young beat Nick Aldis. Just saying.
Okay, but there's a big difference between EY and Cody Deaner.
Even at Showtime, I'll give you that.
Is Cody Deaner going to defeat Steve Macklin? Is Cody Deaner going to defeat Moose? Is Cody Deaner going to defeat Joe Hendry?
How dare...
No, and no.
Well, the biggest ones, no. I think the last one, with all due respect, but continue.
He's going to be a glorified jobber. He's going to be their version of the Brooklyn Brawler. So what's the point in tying him down to another year, another 3 years, another 5 years?
Utility player?
As good as it is to know that you've got a secure job, if you're not in this profession to win, you may as well get the fuck out of the promotion. You know, the Northern Armory are some of the biggest jobbers on their roster. But if you watch them on the indies, Sinner and Saint fucking are dominating the divisions.
So much so that Alan Angels is actually defending his Prestige Championship against one of those very men.
Yes. In a steel cage. No less.
Lord. Of course, it's got to be steel cage.
And personally, I like Icarus more than I like Travis Williams anyway. So I'm glad it's him that gets the shot. But I picked Cody Deaner.
Oh, there you go.
But I question greatly if he wins or not. Like, I know I've still got an hour or two. I may get my change in, but
right.
This is one of the hardest ones for me.
I can't believe how hard this match is as well for all
It
of us.
really like this is largely a throwaway match on this show, and arguably it's one of the hardest ones to call.
Right?
That's crazy to me.
Well, either way, right now we are all unanimous with Cody Deaner. So good luck, Deaner. Let's see what you can do tonight against Eddie Edwards, and maybe you could be the answer on how you beat the system versus trust it or work it. Okay, well, moving on from there to a match that probably be much more one-sided. And while the people led that last match, I am going to still focus on the panel here. And Chris, you're on ballot next. We want to talk about family affairs. Let's talk about this match of family affairs, because I don't know about you, I don't think Santino Marella wanted to put his daughter in this situation. Robert Stone, he had no problem doing it, and now he's taking Santino's badge, crook. Let's go ahead and talk about this abuse of power, and honestly, the struggle for power. Tessa Blanchard with Robert Stone takes on Ariana Grace with Santino Marella in his corner. We saw how heated and how confrontational that debate last night got on TNA Wrestling. And ever since Robert Stone came over here to try and take over authority, he's literally upset pretty much almost all of Santino Marella's decisions. We saw last night where Robert Stone believes that he could bring more money to this company. Why Santino Marella, he loves the family that he created here. And in my opinion, TNA has always been more of a family environment than a corporate shill. You know, another company could learn something or two about that. Over glorified branding juggernaut. Anyway, the liaison of NXT with the director of authority taking on, well, I'll take that back. She did lose against Masha, yay. But still, it's Tessa Blanchard, and she is hell bent on destroying Honor Grace at the expense of Santino Marella. And I hate to say it, Robert Stone might honestly have the one gem he needs to rule TNA, whether or not he's in power. But right now, he owes Santino Marella's badge, so the jury's out. And I hate the fact that this guy is involved in TNA in a power struggle of authority figures. It pisses me off. Okay, Chris, go ahead and talk about this match. I think we all know the results, but I think we know there's more than meets the eye when it comes to this one-on-one, considering whose agenda here has bigger, more devious intentions in mind. Go ahead and talk about Iron Grace or Tessa Blanchard, and good luck to Liaison. She's going to need it.
Well, who I have in this match is, I'm going to go with Tessa Blanchard to win this match. And hey, we got to give credit to Robert Stone for managing these talents. He managed the former Women's United States champion, Chelsea Green. And look where Chelsea Green is at. Everybody's been praising her on her performance as Women's United States champion. Someday she's going to be going for the World Championship. And now with Robert Stone, with Tessa Blanchard, this could work and have Tessa Blanchard get back at the TNA Knockouts World Championship. And hopefully someday Tessa Blanchard will be the Knockouts World Champion in TNA.
Oh boy.
So I'm going to go out the limb. Tessa Blanchard for the win. And she's going to be destroying Santino Marella's daughter.
You know, Chris, I appreciate you as a friend and as a fan of wrestling with a positive demeanor, but there literally is some stuff that even you can say that really chaps my hide. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Well, that being said, he picked Tessa Blanchard, and unfortunately, he is in the majority, JJ. 76 people did pick Tessa, while 24% went against Tessa and picked Ariana Grace. And I also think he's kind of point because we know after this, we got Against All Odds and Slammiversary. How many times have we seen Slammiversary culminate somehow with big happy ending, but you still have to go through this road of nonsense to get there? And I fear that this is the first step to that, considering he possesses Santino Marella's badge. I figure that he already has power to begin with. What do you guys say regarding this match and this power struggle, to say the least, despite Power Struggle being a New Japan Pro Wrestling show name?
Well, first of all, let's not forget that Robert Stone is a former X Division champion.
I remember. Freaking Jersey Shore ripoff reject. Go ahead.
Second of all, did you notice the horrible editing job by TNA on this week's Impact? Did you notice it?
Probably
not. They did the segment. Robert Stone took the badge. Then the very next segment, Santino Marella was backstage and he had his badge on.
Oh, wow. Botch. Oh, my God.
I noticed that. As great as TNA is doing lately, they still make those little slips.
Yeah, TNA still sticking to what made them TNA. Thank Christ, you're not WWE soft yet.
So here's my thing. I hate to say it. I agree with Chris. I've got Tessa Blanchard also too. The undeniable diamond is not gonna job to Ariana Grace.
No.
You damaged Tessa way too much by having her eat that L. But what if this was a setup all along? What if Ariana Grace is secretly with Robert Stone?
You're wrong for that. Hell
TNA needs another major storyline to jump off. If the system is going to be ending soon, they need something major. Ariana Grace has been a part of this for a minute. She's been our liaison from NXT to TNA.
Yeah.
Everybody thought that it was just because her daddy's there. But what if this was all a plan all along to take over?
No, thank you.
Robert Stone is from NXT. Ariana's from NXT. You don't think the NXT brand is going to stick together?
There's a reason why I think this show might as well be called Takeover from Within, because you got the Prime Minister, Stevie Turner of Love, you got the General Manager, Ava Rand, you got Robert Stone, who was left out in the dirt, or was he sent on assignment to take over TNA? Ugh.
Now, the flip side of all this is not only could it be a setup and Ariana was in it all along, I also look at this as a huge test for Tessa. If Tessa is willing to make Ariana Grace look good, we may see her crossing the line on NXT television sooner rather than later.
You have been crowing about that to happen for quite a period of time. Considering Charlotte Flair's involved in the Money Bank qualifier tonight.
I'm just throwing things out there because, like, Ever since Tessa came back, we've wanted to see her cross the line and do stuff in NXT. Especially Jordan Grace is there. Stephanie Vakir is there. Don't tell me you wouldn't like to see Tessa and Stephanie.
It'd be an interesting match. I mean, it'd be an interesting
Especially
match.
since both of them worked in Mexico.
See,
So,
uh,
but yeah, there's no way the undeniable Diamond gets beaten by Miss NXTNA.
yeah, it's a sad state of affairs right now, where this is more than just a struggle for power. This is literally sending somebody to the slaughter.
Because that's 2 pay-per-views in a row Tessa would lose.
Right.
You can't. You can't do that to Tessa.
I wonder if the liaison knows how to use a viper of sorts, similar to her father. Like, I wonder what he brings to the ring, because it's so rare that we see the lovely, kind, pure-hearted liaison of NXT in in-ring action. So, again, it's going to be a unique match. And Santina Morella, you might want to throw the white towel in to save your daughter, and Robert Stone may clearly reject it. I hope Santino personally Cobras Robert Stone's throwdown and takes his badge back by force if he has to. That's just me. Maybe a distraction come into play. Maybe this will be the WTF, but who knows?
And
But
I like Dwayne's suggestion of Tully showing up to help Tessa win.
well, I mean, Tully Blanchard. I mean, again, one of the most hated, the most hated Four Horsemen for those that know their history, and also the father of Tessa. So I mean, weirder things have happened, and we've seen legends literally return to WWE and also sit in the TNA audience. So we'll see. Either way, Tessa's going to destroy Ariana and make Santina Morella feel every freaking bit of it, proverbially. And then probably assault Santina Morella because she don't give a damn. They even knocked down Gia Miller. The freaking nerve. Gia should shove that boot where the sun don't shine on Robert Stone's ass, but that's a whole different conversation. All right, anyway, moving on. Before anything else pisses me off with the fact that I got Robert Stone and TNA in the same sentence again. Well, at least he's not holding a championship yet. Christ almighty. Okay, moving on from there, let's go into the title matches of the night, the marquee title matches. And again, these 2 title matches still don't make any jack shit sense to me, but it is what it is. Then again, we're in Canada, so at least one makes more sense. And you're on the bubble for this one. Let's go ahead and talk about the Nemets versus Matt Hardy and not Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy can't wrestle in Canada, for those that know. Leon Slater. And since the Nemets stole the tag team championships at Rebellion against the Hardys thanks to a dick kick and a freaking cockroach crawling in for the cover named Hollywood Hunk Ryan Nemeth, they've basically made it personal against the Hardys, but we've also seen the Hardys get the better of the Nemeths, including in a singles action where Jeff Hardy got the better of Nick Nemeth, their first match, I believe, in over 15 years. But Jeff Hardy, he can't wrestle in Canada. So guess what? They had Matt Hardy choose a partner, and they chose the one they had so much promise in. Leon Slater. Fans really came to him when Leon Slater came to Matt Hardy's aid recently on TNA Impact when the Nemeth tried to assault Matt Hardy again. So it is a TNA World Tag Team Championship match where Leon Slater has a chance to win a tag title with his idol. Or the Nemeth once again prove that they really are here to show off and show the world exactly what they are. So, JJ, what the hell is about to happen here? Do you think the Nemets actually lose the titles to Matt Hardy and Leon Slater? Or again, with this all going back to Matt Hardy more than anything else, do the Nemets put Matt Hardy in their place again? This time maybe pinning him for the win. What do you think happens here in this match?
Nemets are going to retain.
Yeah, it's too soon.
Plain and simple. The Nemets are going to retain. The only reason I could see Matt and Leon picking up the dub,
which would shock me,
is if they're going to do some kind of turn with the Hardys. You know, picture this, if you will. Matt and Leon win. Jeff comes back because, you know, it's after the Canadian events. Right. So now he can be on TV. Thanks, Leon, for winning the title, wants the title from him. Since this is the Hardy Boys title rematch, they made sure to specify that on Impact.
Right.
So then Jeff and Matt force Leon to give him the title. You were just a placeholder. turning the Hardys and making Leon even more over as a babyface. Now, I don't see that happening, but that's the only way I would see them winning the titles making sense, is if they were going to do something like that. So the Nemeths retain.
Yeah, it's also one of those things where literally we're not even a full month out since they won the tag team championships. If you've all been tracking TNA like I have, they won them at Rebellion, which was the last Sunday of April. We're not even through the last Sunday of May yet. There's no way in hell they are going to transition the titles this quick unless legitimately one of the Nemeths get injured. The Nemeths are going to retain. 82% of the Nemeths are going to retain, while 18% did go with Matt Hardy and Leon Slater. I think there's just more Matt Hardy fans than meets the eye, even in Canada, eh? But anyway, Chris, do you have to say anything further regarding this? And I imagine you agree with us, the Nemeths are going to retain, right?
Yes, I agree with all of you guys. The Nemeths are going to retain. But the big question is, who's going to eat the fall here? Is Matt going to eat the fall or Leon? I personally feel Matt Hardy should take the fall here and protect Leon Slater, because I see Leon Slater going for the X Division Championship down the road. So yeah, the Nemeths are going to retain, and that's just that.
Yeah, simple as that. And Charles here with his own booking philosophy. Again, Slammiversary is where big stuff happens. There's only one show, as we know, between here and there, and that is Against All Odds, as far as I believe that is correct. So, I mean, yeah, I can see that happening, honestly, and just, a full circle moment. Again, Slammiversary, where special things happen. I'm just saying. All right, well, that was pretty easy. Now let's go ahead and... Sorry, got a crick in my neck. I'm fine. Chris, you're on point for this one, as we have Masha Slavis defending the TNA Knockouts World Championship against Victoria Crawford. The fuck did she do to deserve this? Anyway, Masha Slavis, the unstoppable Russian Dynamite Force, the TNA Knockouts division, who won this title against Jordan Grace last year at Bound for Glory, already has overcome the likes of NXT's Elena Black now. Just want to make sure I make that clear for those that don't know. Of course, Tessa Blanchard submitting Tessa Blanchard, lest we forget. Already beat Ash in a match of elegance. And, of course, we also saw Masha even defend this title in Bloodsport. She's been unstoppable since last year in October. And we got this. Instead of Zara Brookside, instead of Rosemary back at some point, maybe Clockwork House at the Clockwork House of Orange debacle, instead of Lei Ling Lee, instead of Heather Reckless trying to venture out on her own. Hell, if Spitfire wasn't a thing, I think JJ might have been on point for a future challenger. Maybe Danny Luna. I'm just saying. And my dog barking's going to piss me off even more than this graphic. JJ, no. Get the fuss together. No, hold that thought. Christopher Rotz, you're on point for this one. Your thoughts on this match? Who leads with the TNA Knockouts World Championship? And how many times do we smash Victoria Crawford before she doesn't challenge for it again?
Well, and we all have to understand this. Victoria Crawford was the former Alicia Fox in WWE. And hey, maybe someday Victoria Crawford could cross the line and go back to WWE someday. That could be interesting. But yeah, I see Masha Slamovich retaining, and then we got Against All Odds, and then Slammiversary. So who's going to challenge Masha after tonight? We're going to find out and see. But yeah, Masha Slamovich is definitely retaining tonight.
Eve Torres is a more realistic challenger than Victoria fucking Crawford. If Victoria Crawford leads with that title tonight, I will boycott TNA and send this freaking fan to the utter ether. Anyway, all right, you said Masha retains. I'm just gonna go with that. 96% with Masha retaining. Thank Christ. 22 of the 23 of you. I think someone's drunk. Why somebody did pick Victoria Crawford. Okay. That being said, Masha smash, leave, give it a T-shirt, and let's move on. JJ, go ahead, give your thoughts towards this. Now, I remember very, very, very particularly when this first arrived on the scene. You said, let it play out and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to let it play out. It's played out long enough. Why the fuck is Victoria Crawford challenging for the TNA Knockouts World Championship when she has nothing to back it up as far as TNA goes? But go ahead, give your thoughts towards this and why Masha retains and try and freaking feed the story to me.
Oh, look, $3.99, 8-piece chicken nuggets and a fry. Large Whopper meal for two for $14.49.
Okay, I think I proved my point. Moving on. We've had some fun, some laughs, some talk. This has been TA Under Siege. Thank you all for tuning in. Okay, that's all, folks. Never mind. I'm sorry. Let's get back on this. Damn it, JJ, you fucking brilliant idiot. Oh, God. Okay. I am
Two original chicken sandwiches and 2 medium fries for $7.49.
I mean, it's better than a frozen fish patty on a bun. If you look at the Wendy's commercial, what the fuck is happening? We've had a lot of fun. We've had a lot of laughs. We talked about some great matches in this match and the other match, but let's go ahead and move on to the reason that we're here, shall we? And it looks like that we're just going to circle right back around since this is NXT and we know that Battleground's on the horizon and we're going to talk about NXT and A at its forefront. Talk about what's most important. Let's go ahead and get right into our fucking hell. Let's go ahead.
So Masha's going to destroy Victoria.
Okay.
If she doesn't, then I'm going to stop watching TNA. Let's move on.
I love you. You're a brilliant man. You're a brilliant friend. And again, there's nothing but pure love in wrestling. We're all just wrestling fans. But damn it, get this crazy wild ass Vincent non knockout fuck ass bitch off my screen, challenging for the championship. Masha should smash her in the freaking oblivion so she's not back on my screen again.
Long and the short of it, Noah, you wanted me to speak on the story. Robert Stone's not going to win both matches. And I think the end game is to get Tessa back to the title.
I do believe you're right
so
about that.
Tessa defeats Ariana, becomes next in line to Masha, whether it's against All Odds or Slammiversary. I would pick Slammiversary.
Yeah,
Victoria Crawford is just feeder. It's a somebody to throw in there for Masha to smash.
How many times do we smash Victoria Crawford before she smashed enough? I hope I learned that lesson tonight.
Well, I'm pretty sure she was smashed by a good chunk of the WWE locker room, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, well, apparently not smashed enough as she's challenging for the most premier women's championship in the industry right now, not held by Timeless Tony Storm or on the other side of the world by Siri, but let's go ahead and move on. Okay, great talk, great chat. Let's go ahead and move right into our main event where we do believe that someone's going to get whooped, but do we whoop that trick or do we believe in motivation? Let's go ahead and talk about this star-studded match and the reason that we're really coming under siege now, we're being perfectly honest. It's Trick Williams and Frankie Kazarian taking on Elijah and 250 pounds of pure motivation. The answer to all life's questions. Our current TNA World Champion who will defend that title this Sunday. You heard me right. This Sunday at Battleground against the opposition. And of course, his name is Joe Hendry, because we all believe
his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Joe Hendry! We all believe in Joe Hendry. Okay, now this is a match worth talking about. I'm glad we got plenty of time to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it enough. So, JJ, let's talk about it. You know what's ahead. We literally talked about it. Cause and effect. we know this Sunday at Battleground, NXT is making history. Trick Williams is challenging Joe Hendry for the TNA World Championship at NXT Battleground. It was last year where Roxanne Perez had a chance to challenge Jordan Grace for the honor of NXT, and thanks to an ignorant, elegant interference, asterisk, Roxanne Perez was able to retain her NXT Women's Championship against Jordan Grace. Now, it's a whole different story here with the fact that TNA is being defended on NXT turf against a former NXT champion. But again, title's not on the line tonight, but this very well could lead to some implications. Is Trick's knee still good? Is Joe Hendry's shoulder still good? Does Frank Kazarian know where he's at after that guitar shot over the head last night by Elijah? That was a hell of a shot right there. Shout out to Jeff Jarrett. He'd be proud of that. Must have pissed him off. Go ahead and talk about this, JJ. Let's talk about this, guys. This is where the real talk is. What happens here in this tag team main event tonight that literally could tell the story of Battleground as we know it? You got Joe Hendry Elijah, or you got your boy, well, who I say both your boys, Frank Kazarian and Trick Williams?
I got Frankie and Trick.
Oh, look at it. Listen to the way he says that begrudgingly.
I got Frankie and Trick because Zaya Brookside's not the only person I see turning tonight. I think Elijah no longer wants to walk with Joe Hendry.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
And if it doesn't come here, it could come at Battleground.
You think Elijah could cost Joe Hendry the TNA World Championship?
I think it's always possible.
I'd rather see him challenge for it. I thought he was going to challenge under that song where he said Hendry took his job. By the way, rap still whack. Joe Hendry concert rule last on NXT. Don't at me. Continue.
Trick's rap performance was pretty funny too.
It was adequate.
It wasn't as good. I'll give you that. Tricks had better diss tracks, but Average Joe wasn't bad either.
Anyway, continue.
But yeah, I see Trick and Frankie getting the dub here. And the way I write it is Frankie pins Joe. That way Frankie can lay claim to his rematch at Against All Odds.
Oh, you think this could lead to Frank Kazarian finally getting what he deserves in a one-on-one contractually obligated match for the TNA World Championship?
Yeah.
So he's clearly going with his boy Kazarian over Trick, it sounds like, in more ways than one.
Yeah, because while Trick winning the TNA championship, I think could be good. I don't see it at Battleground. I could see it at Against All Odds. I could see it at some special prior to Slammiversary, because we usually have Great American Bash prior to Slammiversary.
I was just thinking about that. They also have not announced Spring Breaking. Continue.
I think we passed on Spring Breaking because WrestleMania was so late, and they did Stand and Deliver during the time they would normally do Spring Breaking. Spring Breaking's usually an April thing. We're now heading into summer vacation. Spring break is long gone. Places are graduating right now, Noah.
You know what? That's fair enough. I just figured about the wrestling schedule, not anything else. Maybe they could do like a summer sizzler or something like that. Be conventional. Be actually creative on your branding for the first time in your life. Anyway, continue.
So, but I don't see Trick as a long-term TNA champion.
Was he a long-term NXT champion?
Pretty good run, at least the first time. The second one wasn't as long, but the first one was a pretty solid run.
I'll give you that.
If Trick gets the TNA title, I think it's more so going to be just let's see how the IWC reacts to this.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And if they're okay with it, because kind of need some titles to change hands during this partnership at some point,
I thought I was going to have a rebellion.
then maybe it's something we can pull the trigger on with something else. But the world title, like, man, that's some commitment.
Mm-hmm.
The tag titles, the international title, the North American title, the X Division title, I could see those. The world title, the knockouts title, those I have question marks next to.
As you should, damn it. Okay, so that being said, Chris, he has said that he has Joe Hendry and Elijah.
Losing.
What?
Losing.
Losing. Do you agree?
Well, when you guys were talking about like spring breaking and all the schools graduating, my mind just came to something. I'm wondering, when is Chase U gonna have their graduation?
Chris, I've already had one reason for my blood pressure to go high.
Hold on, no one. Hold on. Let me answer this and calm you down just a little bit.
All right, fine.
Chase University just reestablished. You've got to give them at least a year before they look to graduate anybody. They just enrolled new students. You can't have them graduating students in a couple of weeks.
My life.
Tranquilo.
Not in a crit.
Tranquilo.
Thank you.
Shush.
Tranquilo.
I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Continue your thoughts towards this match.
This match is, I'm agreeing with JJ. I have Trick Williams and Frankie Kazarian winning here. This is going to be the cause, and what's going to be the effect on Sunday. I'm actually changing my pick on Sunday. I got Joe Hendry retaining the TNA World Champion on Sunday at Battlegrounds. And then when we get to Against All Odds, if for some reason, if Elijah does turn on Joe Hendry, I personally believe it will possibly set up Joe Hendry and Elijah for Against All Odds. That'll be the filler. And then when we get into Slammiversary, that is going to be the moment that Mike Santana is going to defeat Joe Hendry and become the TNA World Champion. And we have to think about this. Joe Hendry's TNA contract is going to expire at this year. So we have to move the TNA World Champion over to the next superstar that will carry TNA into the future, and that is Mike
Frankie
Santana.
Kazarian.
Here we go. Here comes the argument.
And so, yeah.
Now we're having fun.
So you guys know my booking. I have Trick and Frankie Kazarian winning tonight.
Okay, well, before we turn to further discussion, I love the fact we're looking at literally cause and effect. Let's go ahead and see what the 25 of you now put in your prediction said. 64% are actually going with Joe Hendry and Elijah. Now, I do wonder if those people actually follow NXTNA or just follow TNA, because cause and effect. Who wins in TNA most likely loses in NXT. Because Trick Williams and Frank Zane 36%. But I honestly was thinking about when this was. Yes, I see you.
Finish making your point.
So my thing is, look, Frank Kazarian is an OG. All right, I do think he deserves something for all the work he put into TNA his entire career, and I do think there is some value to his self-proclaimed king moniker, considering how much he's given to the TNA wrestling brand during all its inceptions, even when it was Impact Wrestling for a duration. I do think Kazarian challenges for the TNA World Championship somehow in a one-on-one. But my thing is this. It's either at Against All Odds or you do the baby face good moment. Kind of like how Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry had that moment. Again, it was kind of babyface-esque at Genesis, the start of the year. The halfway point of the year is Slammiversary. Who's to say that at that point you don't get another good moment? Because, pass off respect, and then you go towards maybe the next person to challenge. I don't think Mike Santana necessarily could be a long-term champion. I think he could be transitional because I'll be honest here. I think Frankie Kazarian is going to become the TNA World Champion before the end of the year. And if they're not going to do Joe Hendry and him, Mike Santana and him, if they're going to be long-term stays in TNA, that could be the rivalry to be built maybe until the fall season. I do think Elijah is also going to face Joe Hendry because I also still believe that Joe Hendry and Elijah should have a battle amongst themselves, especially after Joe Hendry embarrassed them with that song. I do think it's a ploy. I mean, again, this is Elijah, the former Elias, that we're talking about. He was known to literally tell people, put down your cell phones and hush your mouths, all right? And while he's been, welcome in as a babyface alongside Joe Hendry, he also did just kabong Frank Kazarian, so Kazarian owes him a receipt. And I do think that also could come into play. I'm looking at this like this. I have Trick Williams and Frank Kazarian winning, but I have Elijah, the one in the fall to protect Joe Hendry. And how that plays into Joe Hendry and Elijah's friendship, I think comes down to the fallout of this match. I think Trick Williams and Joe Hendry, they fight all the way to the back, and you got Kazarian and Elijah basically just going out of here because the bigger match is this Sunday. As far as against all odds, you already heard my predictions for Battleground. I still have Joe Hendry retaining. I think against all odds, you are going to run, finally, Joe Hendry and Elijah. What does that mean for Kazarian? Depending on when we're over this a 40 struggle, maybe we get another big six-pack challenge or something like that, where, again, last year's Slammiversary, Kazarian was involved in the final two, lost it to Nick Nemeth, but he made it to the very end. 1 year later, he finally might get his crowning achievement. Because if they don't do a standard one-on-one, then I don't see Mike Santana winning the championship. Period, point blank, simple. But again, I'm not fantasy booking. I'm simply predicting. And as far as tonight goes, I got the opposition to Joe Hendry Elijah winning. I got Trick Williams and Frank Kazarian. JJ, I did see your hand, so let's go ahead and open this up to further close discussion before we end this. Because this match right here is the one that has most of the intrigue for me. What do you guys say?
You just touched on the point that I was going to make. How did Nick Nemeth win the title?
Six-pack challenge.
Six-pack challenge. Bound for Glory.
Ooh,
which, to Chris's point, Joe Hendry's contract, according to rumor, is up at the end of the year. Bound for Glory is October.
Correct.
So that gives him the opportunity to hold it till October, lose it there, get his contractual rematch in November, contract ends. He can phase his way out. Joe Hendry, Mike Santana, Frankie Kazarian, Trick Williams, Nick Nemeth. Insert one person here, maybe Elijah. There's your six-pack challenge. Hendry and all the people that he's kind of ran through.
Surprised you didn't say all you go from Page with how much they ran through him.
I don't think you want to overload it with NXT.
Right.
Especially if you're looking to make somebody in Kazarian or Santana. And that way you can move the title from face to face without having to jeopardize anybody.
Yeah, because at Genesis, we all knew who the babyface we wanted to win was, and that was Joe Hendry, and they accomplished that. While Nick Nemeth was kind of tweening then. He still was respected as a babyface to a degree, but everybody that night was going to ride if the winner was not going to be Joe Hendry. With Mike Santana in New York against Joe Hendry, could be a very similar situation in a one-on-one altercation. I think you and I hit the nail on the head, but either way, I think both Santana and Kazarian have a real shot to become TNA World Champion this year, if not both, back to back in some capacity. It's just a matter of who does it first. And if we literally keep going off the almost as obvious as on print ploy, Summerversary in New York, that Santana wins it there, you got to consider Kazarian will probably be the one to come next.
Yeah, see, I was all about Santana taking it in New York if Kazarian had taken it in LA.
Which he didn't.
Because you could then kind of back and forth, have a rivalry grow out of it. All about that. But for Kazarian to lose in LA and Santana to win in New York, I've got a problem with that. I think Santana needs to fall in New York, just like Kazarian fell in front of his home. That way you can kind of get that groundswell coming up from underneath for both of them. Like, man, they lost in their hometown. Like, it should have been written that they take it here, but they didn't. So how are they going to finally get to that mountaintop? Bound for glory. Have them be the last two men.
It might have a Bound for Glory like a gauntlet to actually determine the person that challenges for the TNA World Championship back in the heydays like they used to. You know very much about that. So, I mean, it's just one of those things right now where there is too much stock, belief, support, merchandising, insert word here, with Joe Hendry still the TNA World Champion for the duration of the future, even against the bigger names from the bigger company, let's call it what it is, the bigger recognized in NXT, including Trick Williams. Trick Williams, you're not TNA. You're not my TNA World Champion. You may be the winner tonight, but you're definitely not winning on Sunday. Joe Hendry is still TNA World Champion at the end of the day and the end of the weekend. But I do think the team loses tonight. Chris, anything further you want to add? And chat, let your thoughts be known as we get ready to close here. Or I think we pretty much dissected as much as we can, despite you two being polar opposites, which I love, by the way. That's one of the fun things to predicting. Is there anything further you want to add regarding what we said, or is that it?
That's it.
Simple as that. All right. Well, that being said, TNA may very well be under siege, and my blood pressure's on the rise, to say the least. But what do you all think is going to happen tonight? Who shows up? Does someone else cross the line? Who's the mystery partner? Do you believe that the main event tag team match here is going to completely break down and complete an utter disarray and chaos, with Trick Williams and Joe Hendry finding all the way to Battleground, and Elijah Cabana Kazarian again, or Kazarian giving Elijah a receipt, maybe with that trophy even. I don't know if he still has that trophy with him. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below as I look at some of your comments here real quick. One says, I believe, can't wait, join the high, fuck Tessa Blanchard. Damn. Good event. Hard to call who wins some of these matches. Yeah, especially the Cody Dean and Elijah and Eddie Owens one. That really surprised me. And what the heck? Wow. I rest my case.
They just announced that yesterday. They dropped that image. All of that merch just came out, including replica tights. $45, you can get a pair of trunks that look like Joe Hendry's.
Again, if you don't believe in Joe Hendry, you are living underneath a rock, to say the least. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Yeah, and you brought up the merchandising, and it was like, dude, I just saw that graphic. Let me grab that real quick, because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want those shoes. Those shoes were kind of cool.
It wouldn't surprise me also if that is the case, despite tariffs on the rise and people's wallets being what they are and loaning. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, again, you're that popular, people buy into you. That's a great way to buy into somebody and sell them too. He's definitely keeping the TNA World Championship with that out. There's no way in hell he's losing. But tonight, he doesn't need to eat the fall, so he's protected in defeat. So that's why it makes sense for the opposition to win. But again, folks, thank you for tuning in. Again, we'll literally be going on the air with our coverage of Under Siege in a little bit under an hour. So let's go ahead and do some quick plugs. If everybody find out do. Chris, I know what your night holds in store. And again, thank you for being part of it. Good luck, of course, not only in NXT, but in TNA. And I'm sure we'll see you around. If not on the panel, we will see you also the predictions league for AEW. That leader will be out tomorrow. But go ahead and tell where the people can find you. Why is your graphic only a black screen, though, to say the least?
Very funny. My screen is the last real champion, and his name is John Cena. Well, tomorrow he's gonna squash R-Truth like a tiny bug tomorrow night at Saturday night's main event. But I had a good time here on Simply Predicting. My Insta is CMROTC_1316. My Facebook is Christopher Rods. My X is CRods24. I had a good time here on Simply Predicting TNA Under Siege. And guys, this is Memorial Day weekend, so I hope you guys have a safe and blessed Memorial Day weekend. And if you guys don't have anything to watch this weekend, we all encourage you to watch wrestling. We got tonight, we got Friday Night SmackDown, we got Saturday night's main event, we got the TNA Canadian Border Brawl thing that's going to be
All wrestling.
happening. We got NXT Battlegrounds, we got AEW Double or Nothing, and then it all ends with Monday Night Raw on Monday. If you have nothing to watch, we encourage you all, if you don't give wrestling a chance, just get out of the fandom, for crying out loud. So, and also say yeah to NoDQ.com.
Yeah, Bossman Aaron Riff approves. All right.
If only he shilled for the Simply Reliable Studios the way he shills for No DQ.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But he'll figure it out eventually. It's all good. And yeah, stay tuned, folks. To the predicting Double or Nothing will be tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if it's like the Dynasty panel, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, Lord help me, I'm stuck in the middle of all of you, and I love it too. Thank you, Chris. And again, good luck tonight with Under Siege. You're free to go if you need to get dinner, get ready for SmackDown, my friend. Again, always appreciate you, and good luck as always in the TNA League.
I'm staying here for the very end.
Oh, well, you know, what good lad. All right, well, JJ, again, there's still a lot more fun ahead. He covered most of it outside, of course, the weekly moderated conversation of Saturday Night Madness, no Saturday Shenanigans, hosted by Ray Wrestling JJ Williams. You talked a little bit about the space, and shout out to Rock and Roll CJ, who, of course, will be part of commentary this weekend for NXT. But also, go ahead and tell where people can find you, what else is on your mind, too. And good Lord, you're freaking graphic.
That's right. Throw Elena Black up there.
Golly, I'm surrounded by fools.
Don't make me pull up that tweet that you put out there earlier, Noah.
Okay. Know what? Nope. You did it. That's it. I'm going to put you on blast right now. You started, so I'm going to finish it. Let me talk to you. The problem with the short-sighted, weak-minded, simpleton community, like you, like James, like King, like anybody else I'm coming on and out as IWC, you don't know how to put contextual context of commentary in what you freaking tweet. The bottom line, some people say they're this, they're that. Timeless Tony Storm and Innuendo. Anna J, big attitude, big ass. Harley Cameron fills the rap. And all of a sudden it's taken out of context. You all can't understand quotes for your life. Where all you look at is peaches versus a wrist slap professional wrestling. You freaking pathetic, weak-minded simpleton. Now, you want to continue this? Because I have no problem going John Robert and I on your ass all the way through Under Siege versus watching Victoria Crawford challenge for the TNA Knockouts World Championship in 2025.
You good, bro?
Yes, I am fine. Thank you for asking. Please go ahead and continue your plug.
So anyways, you can find me on Instagram, the Renegade JJ Williams, on YouTube, Casa D18 Studios, on X, ROWJJ Williams, and Casa D18 Studio. No S on the end for the X account. That is where you will find me doing the spaces. But yeah, so there it is. Make sure you tune in for Saturday Shenanigans tomorrow once Saturday night's main event is over.
Saturday.
And then we've got another full week next weekend as we've got the or no, I'm a little bit off. 2 weeks. 2 weeks we'll have another full weekend as that's the AAA show, that's Money in the Bank. There's freaking there's 2 GCW shows that weekend. Just insanity. Against All Odds will be that Friday. Another crazy week of predicting and everything in 2 weeks.
Predictions, coverage, and people taking texts out of context when it comes to people that talk about they have a big ass, big attitude, and Tony Storm with every innuendo and every possible climax promo segment you could think of. How is that woman not sponsored yet by Blue Chew is beyond me, or Vogue, or whatever, some sort of enhancement drug for women and men who are too. You know what? I'm not going to go there. That's the society's problems. Honestly, that might be some of the IWC's problems. But again, what do I know? I'm a simple man and a virgin. Okay, well, thank you, JJ. And again, folks, support everybody here at the Simply Reliable Studios. And for those that may have busted, my headset, maybe it's good that my headset blown out because, again, I've been trying to be more tame and moderate with my commentary, not go all out. But you know what? Sometimes people just bring out the worst in me. Go figure. It is what it is. But yeah, some people, their graphics, they are what they are. Please support my friend Walter Cruz at Rage of Wrestling. Go follow him on YouTube, on Instagram, on the X. Simple Level Gaming will be coming back soon, I assure you. Please follow our Canadian friend, Ash, at Batty for Wrestling or Shadowbat Ash on the X. Don't be a dickhead. Become part of Batty's army today. You heard him talk about the spaces a little bit, so please follow the spaces with James, with JJ, with DJ. Good grief, too many J's. With Walter Cruz, in and out of the week too, on the X. The spaces schedule is right there for you too. And again, he sadly was here in the dark, but came to light. Follow Chris, appreciate you, Chris. And again, shout out to my NOLA TNA correspondent friend, Dilla. Please follow her when it's wrestling time at Rangers of Wrestling. And if you want to follow me, as he finally bid adieu.
I thought he was staying here till the end. He lied.
His computer was probably like,
false advertising.
Like, bye, bossy, botch. Anyway, if you want to follow and engage more with me or get more of my thoughts, no, I'm not John Oliver tonight. I don't do a freaking rant show where a little picture is on the screen there and I'm freaking half the screen and I'm ranting about the world as I know it, burning in catastrophe. You can find me primarily on YouTube, on the X, at N59016 for all things wrestling. Primarily predictions, coverage, and sometimes leaving this man's head leveled on the shenanigans for the duration I'm there. But who knows? Since I'm in a better state of health, maybe I'll finally be around for the long haul for the entire thing. We'll see what happens, maybe starting this Saturday night. It really depends. But honestly, like I always encourage people, there's no winners, no losers, no betters. Just fans with opinions for this passion we all share, despite how they read text sometimes, too, on the social medias. But, again, it's all good. And, again,
I just open up my thing. I scroll. I see a post from Noah Foster. I see it says, like, big ass or whatever the exact wording was, huge ass. And I'm just like, Noah, this is not you to be talking about a woman's ass like that. Let me screenshot this so that the next time he wants to give me shit about having Elena Black's ass on my image, I can go back to that where you're talking about a woman's ass. And, you know, it.
Put it out of context, but that's all right. He wanted to get a rant on me. He got it. So I
did. And for free, no less.
You love to hear me rant sometimes, don't you?
Yes. Yes, it is entertainment.
If
there is one thing you should know about me by now, Noah, I love entertainment.
Well, and I love to entertain, I guess, the things I do for friends.
And I know how to get you riled.
I'm just
a lot of times I will just kick back and I won't push the button. But every now and again, I've got to poke the bear just a little bit.
And you see what happens. I can't wait to see that.
And I mean, you've got Safet in the chat. We got to give the people what they want, right? He wants to see Elena Black's ass. There you go. One more time.
Sometimes I don't know why I give the people what they want so much too, but I guess it is what it is when it comes to supporting my friends and encouraging positivity and some happiness and fun into people's lives too.
Now the question is Safet going to be one of the, and I'm using the word that she used, creeps that subscribes to her exclusive content page when it drops once it launches?
Creeps, sickos.
That's the word she used. She was it's called Wrestling Where I Want and being able to profit off of creeps like you, I believe was her exact quote.
You know, I don't know if embracing the short-sighted mentality of humanity in the internet wrestling community is the way to go for us to be better. But I guess when it comes to women, I guess it's a way for them to be more profitable. So I guess more power to them. I have no right to judge, but that's their choice and everyone else's choice for that matter.
Wise men or woman, I forget who originally made the quote, but long before I became a thing, long before you became a thing, there was a quote that says, if you got it, flaunt it.
Well,
and if that's what she wants to do, if that's what B. Priestley wants to do, if that's what SDL wants to do, and any other woman that may have one of those type of pages, who are we to fault them? If they got it, flaunt it.
And if you got it, pay for it, I guess. All right, fine. That's all y'all do. I'm just waiting for you to trigger me again with another graphic, because I expect this to be a running gag now, where each month there's going to be one graphic based on an individual I preach for wrestling that someone's going to make, and they're going to bring out the worst in me, like a freaking nuclear bomb worse than Tessa Blanchard, like you all did that one time. I'm just waiting for you all to pull that trigger again. I'm waiting for y'all to drop another bomb on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. I'm just waiting for you all to do that shit, and you see what happens. But that being said, I'm sure you all can't wait for that either. But in the meantime, you gotta wait until I'm back on your screen covering and discussing with, I believe, the Rage of Wrestling, Walter Cruz, TNA Wrestling Under Siege. But for now, I am gonna bid you all a fine adieu on this fine Friday Eve. So whether or not you tune into Friday Night SmackDown or I cover TNA Wrestling, thank you all for tuning in once again to City Predicting. For the Renegade Wrestling, JJ Williams, say goodbye.
Good night, everybody.
And for me, it's a simple goodbye to remind you to believe in Joe Hendry and make a positive impact in life. And if I don't see you tonight, we'll see you some point down the line, in and out here at the Cibaba Studios. Have a good day or a good night. This has been City Predicting, TNA Under Siege. Thank you all for tuning in to the madness. I apologize for raging. Have a good day or good night, folks. Thanks again. Ugh. Victoria Crawford challenging for the championship. That's the biggest bullshit I've ever heard since freaking McDonald's stopped having a dollar menu. Anyway, let's go ahead and McDonald's sounds good right now. I haven't had a McDonald's in a long time. Though Marco's Pizza, pepperoni double cheese mushroom. But oh shit, the button. Why the freaking thing didn't click? Oh, I clicked comments. Damn it. Anyway, bye folks. There it is. The
I think I'm gonna go to